Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. Brandon again here in the basement today. And if you caught my last training recap video, I talked about how today was going to be a test out. So I'm testing my squat, bench, and deadlift, and I'm dressed appropriately. I also have a singlet on and an SBD pair of socks and wrist wraps, full IPF mode activated. Except for, of course, I don't have an SBD belt, which is actually kind of funny when you consider that if you can kind of somewhat see behind me, I own 6 different belts from Pioneer and Inzer, probably somewhere between $600 to even $1,000 worth if you consider some of the customizations that have gone into that. And yet I can't justify spending the money on an SBD belt. Things are funny how they work out sometimes. But anyways, with today, I'm going to try to treat it just like a meet. So I weighed in roughly an hour to 2 hours before coming down here in the basement, weighed in at 218 pounds, which is roughly 12 to 16 pounds less than what I weighed in at my last competition. Dad bod's in full effect. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So that's one thing. You guys also know that I've been making a lot of excuses this training cycle, just with my training hasn't been going well. I haven't had time, and that's okay because those are choices I choose to make. Spending time with family, friends, and unfortunately even my work sometimes takes precedent over training. So I have to try to accept the fact that my strength isn't what it used to be. All these attempts today will probably be around my second attempts, and it would have been really cool if they were around my openers, but I don't think they're going to move that well, but we'll see. Now, I say that with a little bit of a spoiler alert. I just finished squatting, and I unloaded the bar, so I did max out more than just the bar, and it did not go great. I'll show you some of my warm-ups here, and just in warm-ups, they didn't really feel like they were moving that great, and that's usually how I can tell. Even with just using the bar, I can tell if things are going to feel well or not. So I really tried to convince myself otherwise, but it just didn't happen. My top single of 255, I hit the rack on the unrack, which is a rookie move. And just from there, things just kind of fell apart. It was definitely slow and gross, but I'm not hurt. I'm going to live. I'm going to move on to bench, and I'll update you after that has been completed. So we'll talk to you in just a second. All right, so benching is done, and it went okay, actually. So I was supposed to work up to a single at 142.5 kilos. However, during my warm-up progression, which isn't much because I don't bench a ton, it's feeling pretty good, especially my last, what I would consider warm-up of about 130 kilos. So I decided to bump it up to 145. It was a little bit tough. I got a little bit stuck about halfway up my chest, which is my normal sticking point. But once through, I managed to get the weight up and actually keep my butt on the bench, which was also good. And one of those things that I've been trying to work on my arch a little bit. It's a slow process, but with a singlet, at least you can see that I am trying to work on it some. And it's not that I don't want to arch more, just I physically cannot do it because of back issues that I've had in the past, including bone spurs in my lower spine. It affects a lot of things that I do, like my squatting mobility. But again, it's stuff that I'm working on. It just takes a long time to make little bits of difference. But I think today it went okay. So squat, meh. Bench, meh. On the deadlifts, we'll see how that goes. Let's jump to it. All right, so everything is done. Deadlifts are done. They went okay. So squat, bench, meh. Deadlifts, But to be honest, there's good news and bad news. The bad news is that I'm not really satisfied with how today went. Now, ideally, I would set PRs in everything at this meet coming up. Realistically, I know that is not going to be the case. It might have to resort to one of those bodyweight PRs, if you will. But on the same hand, the good news is this is how I always feel a couple of weeks out from the meet, especially in my mind. I know in my head, I'm really second guessing if I should do this meet, and I don't want to. I feel like I'm gonna be weak and I don't wanna even do it, so just start a new training cycle. Again, all common thoughts I've always had in every single competition I've ever always done, so kind of status quo, if you will. I'm hoping that in a couple of days I'll come back and I'll look at some of this footage and at least I'll feel better looking at the lifts, thinking that they moved better than they felt at the time of filming this, which usually is the case, even with my weekly training footage. So I understand this is part of the process, and that's one of the reasons I'm so thankful that I filmed literally all my training for the past 3 years almost each week and sharing my thoughts. That way I can go back and listen and go, hey, you know what? I've been here before and things turned out okay. So let's hope that is the case in another couple weeks. Appreciate you guys watching. Don't make fun of me too bad. I have sensitive feelings, especially right now. Go easy on me, guys. But in the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big.